So, Red Bull's £38 million gamble on their Yuki decision. We are going to get into it. This is F1 Grandstand. I'm Tony Craig. And if you are an F1 fan, of course, you're in the right place. Do me a favor, smash a like on the thumbs up button. It makes a huge difference to the success of the channel. Also hit the notification bell as well, so you can always keep up to date when we go live. Please do get in the chat as well. We are fully interactive. We want to share our ideas and we want to discuss the topics of tonight. Hey, Notes J, how the devil are you, sir? Good evening. Yeah, it's a big one today because it kind of links into a lot of what we were talking about last night. The Yuki decision at Red Bull and Racing Bulls is now becoming a huge financial one. ADT, hey Gemma, nice to have you all in the chat. Tonight's show is all about Gemma's favourite. She picks on him a lot, doesn't she? It's Yuki Tsunoda. It's a big gamble for Red Bull. What are they going to do? Because it's far more complicated than what we were talking about last night. And I'm going to enlighten you. And there's a lot of money involved, let me tell you. So, first of all, where we're going to start is let's have a quick refresher on where the team standings are right now. So, as you can see, it might be a little small. Hopefully your screen can see it. Right now, McLaren obviously have already won the Constructors with 713 points. But this is where it gets interesting. Ferrari, second place currently with 356 points. Then we've got Mercedes on 355 points. Then we've got Red Bull Racing on 346 points. So as you can see, there's 1 point separating Mercedes and Ferrari, and only 10 points from fourth to Ferrari, which is Red Bull Racing. Just bear that in mind for a second. Now, let me move you on to another graphic I've prepared. And this is where it gets, well, fascinating, because we have got how the team prizes are awarded, okay? So the way the team prizes work is there's basically a prize pool gets shared amongst the teams depending on what position you finish. And that prize pool is determined from the amount of revenue that the FAA have brought in with regards to television rights, etc. Now, this is how the prize pool is split between the top teams. So first prize gets, and by the way, it's more than this. They have rounded this down, actually. But first prize will get about 14% of the prize pool. And for argument's sake, it's around $140 million. If we're talking about a billion, but it's over a billion. We know that. Second prize gets 12%, 120 million. Third prize, 100 million. And fourth prize, 80 million. That's a $40 million swing, but we know it's more than that, just for the purpose of the graphic, between finishing fourth and finishing second. Okay, why is that number absolutely vital? Well, Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes, any one of those teams can win. Oh, sorry, win. Is win the right word? Can finish second in the Constructors. Red Bull are currently fourth. So, looking at those numbers, that's 80 million. Second, that's 120 million. That's a 40 million swing. Now, why does this play in to our friend Yuki Tsunoda? Well, as you know, Yuki Tsunoda is the second driver in the Racing Bulls. We know that he's playing blocker for Max Verstappen to try and help him win the World Drivers' Championship. But the real financial gain for Red Bull Racing is to finish second in the Constructors. So the reason why the Dark Lord himself held small bucks to the top teams, well, it's a year's salary, right? To a Max Verstappen. I mean, you'd rather have that 40 million than not have it, especially when all it comes down to is how do I keep Yuki Tsunoda motivated to the end of the season to give us the best chance of winning that 40 million. Hey, Motorsport fan. Hey, the Wooden. Nice to have you in the chat. So, because I hear what you're saying. If the teams are spending around $400 million a year, it's 10%, right? 40 million. But they're not daft. They'd rather have the 40 million and not have the 40 million. And when there's a potential opportunity to get that 40 million, they're going to go for it. And with Yuki Tsunoda, that Helmut Marko had said he was going to make a decision on the entire driver lineup for Red Bull and Racing Bulls after Mexico. And then Laurent Mekies said, no, we're not going to do that now. It's now going to be more around the time of Abu Dhabi. Well, I'm sure you're aware, Abu Dhabi is the final Grand Prix of the season. 4 Grand Prix time, right? December the 7th. So that means Yuki Tsunoda doesn't know his future, and neither does Liam Lawson, which gets really quite fascinating, because if we go to this article, let me just tell you what's been said in F1 Oversteer today. So basically what they're saying is they've already Helmut Marko and Red Bull Racing, according to Blick, Red Bull have already struck a preliminary agreement to promote F2 prospect Arvid Lindblad into F1 with Racing Bulls, which means they've already struck an agreement, a handshake agreement that, yes, Arvid, you're going to be a driver for Racing Bulls next season. Which means that there's going to be one seat available at Racing Bulls, which is between Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda, because Helmut Marko has already said that he wants Isaac Hadjar in the Red Bull seat. It gets more complicated than that, because what's also come out in F1 Oversteer is that Laurent Mekies and Helmut Marko are not in agreement about that decision. Okay? Laurent Mekies actually is fighting to keep Yuki Tsunoda in the Red Bull car for 2026. Obviously, Mekies has this long relationship with Yuki. When he was team principal in the Racing Bulls, he thinks he's influenced Yuki to start performing better. Now, I don't know. Here's the question: is whether this is all just fun and games, or it's actually real. Because Helmut Marko is a wily old fox, and he knows he needs Yuki to perform to the end of the season. He's already come out in the press and sort of indicated what his decision is, because as the sole director of Red Bull Racing, it doesn't matter how much that Laurent Mekies complains or argues with him, the decision lies firmly with Helmut, and he's already made his decision. So is this PR games that Laurent Mekies is now saying, well, I'm disagreeing with Helmut Marko, Yuki's still got a chance. And even Helmut Marko's now, he's acquiesced and said, this decision is not made. It is going to be made now by Abu Dhabi at the end of the season. And Yuki is basically supposed to believe that he's still got a chance at a seat. So I think he actually has still got a chance at a seat. And I think that he would need to help Red Bull achieve second place in the Constructors and help Max Verstappen achieve that World Drivers' Championship. If those two things happen, even the Dart Lord himself, Helmut Marko, couldn't cut Yuki after that. He just couldn't, because they've achieved the new objective, which is World Drivers' Championship for Max and second in the Constructors. They get an extra 40 million plus. Thank you very much. Obviously paid that. Obviously, that's way more than Yuki's salary. And he would have followed team orders to help him achieve that goal. However, if Yuki believes he's already out and already believes that Liam Lawson is nailed on for the second Red Bull seat, Racing Bull seat, Arvid Lindblad's in the other Racing Bull seat, and Hadjar is getting promoted, well then Yuki could literally just go, I don't care. I don't care about your championship. I only care about me now. And all that go out the window. They could lose 40 million. They've got no one to help block for Max, because Yuki's not going to want to stay out on tyres that are absolutely shot to death. Stay out an extra 5 laps in order to try and hold up the field to help Max get a gap. All of these things start changing. So it's a fascinating situation, because now Helmut Marko has to decide, well, is the decision made or not? It could cost him a lot if he tells Yuki he's not in. And the other problem that Yuki's got is that yesterday, Aston Martin announced that their reserve driver role that was provisionally offered to Yuki Tsunoda has now been taken by their protege, Jack Crawford. And even though Jack Crawford had an offer on the table to be Cadillac's reserve driver, he didn't sign on the dotted line. He's staying with his current team, Aston Martin, as their reserve driver. Because Jack Crawford has had a solid F2 season this year. Don't get me wrong, Jack Crawford will eventually be a Cadillac driver, but why does he want to be a reserve driver there next year when he can be a reserve driver at Aston Martin in an Adrian Newey car? All that great experience. Of course he's going to do that, and he'll take all that with him to Cadillac in 2027. But this, I think, is going to go on and on. Let me go to the chat. Hey, Motorsport fan, he says, always there's been conflicting statements at Red Bull, especially when Helmut Marko was involved in this. Yeah, because Helmut Marko is a wily old fox, and what he wants to do is control the narrative, but he also loves to talk. Yeah. The wooden is absolutely brutal. He's gone straight in with nothing is glossing over Yuki's shit performance. What's happening with Dunn? Yeah, I'm sure Marco assigned him already. Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be in one of the 4 seats. Dunn. He's not going to be in one of the 4 seats. He's not. Reserve driver, yeah, for sure. But he's not going to be in one of the 4 seats. But that's the thing with Red Bull. You could be a reserve driver, Red Bull or Racing Bull, and then you can get your opportunity mid-season. We've seen it over and over again. Hey, Triple X. How are you, my friend? We're talking about Yuki. We're talking about the fact that Helmut Marko's got... there's a $40 million swing from 4th place in the Constructors to 2nd place in the Constructors. Now, Helmut Marko wants Red Bull to finish 2nd in the Constructors, obviously. If he upsets Yuki, that's highly unlikely to happen. So they've delayed the decision to announce the driver lineup for Red Bull and Racing Bulls until Abu Dhabi, which, as we all know, is the very last race of the season. So what does he achieve from that? Well, he gets constant, hopefully the best performances out of Yuki, the best performance out of Liam Lawson. But there are reports today in motorsport.com about Arvid Lindblad already doing an agreement, a handshake agreement, a provisional agreement that he's going to be racing in the Racing Bulls next year. So it's all getting a little bit interesting. So that's the thing. It's the $40 million swing. It's a $40 million swing. So obviously Helmut Marko needs to keep Yuki motivated. But is the writing already on the wall? Like the Wooden says. like the Wooden says that Yuki can't hide his shit performance. And if you ain't got a contract yet, you ain't getting one. I have to agree with him. I have to agree with him. And if he go and the Wooden, you're right. If he goes against team orders, they'll just sack him. But who are they gonna put in there? Right? Who is gonna race for them? In the last 3 races, I suppose Arvid Lindblad, he could slot in, obviously. It looks like he would be the option, but that is what's going on over at Red Bull, and it's a little bit creepy. And I'm not just saying it because it's Helmut Marko, but it's a little bit creepy, all of it. Triplex says Red Bull Racing should just yield the 2nd seat to RB, so all 3 can have a seat. Yield the 2nd seat to Racing Bulls, so all 3 can have a seat. Well, let the Racing Bulls have 3 cars. I'm pretty sure that's not allowed. But what they could do... But on this whole thing, by the way, I'm still really annoyed that Red Bull get to control 4 cars on the grid. Get to control 2 teams. It shouldn't be allowed. I say it all the time. Should not be allowed. Should it? How can one organisation control 2 teams and 4 cars on the grid and expect everyone else to not believe that they're going to have an impact on the outcome of the race? Because right now, this is a great example. You've got Max Verstappen leading the World Drivers' Championship. Well, you've got effectively Yuki that can affect the race. Liam Lawson can affect the race. Isaac Hadjar can affect the race. You know, any one of those 3 drivers could have a racing incident that would ultimately bring out a safety car, or touch a front wing on a McLaren, or right, the list goes on of the possibilities if they all wanted to support Max Verstappen's charge to the World Drivers' Championship, and it's total bollocks. They shouldn't be allowed. The Wooden says, when they bought the team, they were actually doing the sport a favour and no one cared. You know, I agree with you. They didn't care. And they were doing the sport a favour. I completely agree. But now it's changed. Right? You know, at the time, I couldn't agree more. You know, we needed the teams. But now it's changed a bit. Now, you know, it's a boom time to be in the F1 business. The Wooden says they've never done a crash gate, to be fair to them. Not yet. Not yet. But if they don't, not like Flavio Briatore. Flavio Briatore. Ooh, he got away with it though. Flavio Briatore got exonerated. Charges dropped. Even though he didn't come back to the grid for like, what was it, 17 years. But yeah, he actually got exonerated from that. Under appeal. On appeal at the courts. But yeah, it's an interesting one, but it does bring the integrity of the sport a little bit into question, though, doesn't it? Like, let's be honest, you know. And right now, we'll see it. The next 4 races. You know what? Let's get our tinfoil hats on, right? And let's be very observant just how Racing Bulls, if they are supportive of Max Verstappen's attempt at the World Drivers' Championship, and also how supportive are they of Red Bull Racing achieving second in the constructors? Because when you consider where Racing Bulls are, Racing Bulls currently sit 6th. There's no way they're going to catch Williams, who are on 111 points. Red Bull Racing on 69 points. They are only 7 points ahead of Aston Martin. But will they be helpful to Red Bull Racing to achieve the goal of second in the constructors? Yeah, well, Williams are pretty much a Mercedes B team. Well, yeah. I think the Mercedes-Williams relationship is special in a lot of ways. I do feel that Williams are independent when it comes to racing on track, even though Mercedes are obviously supplying engines and occasionally drivers, right? Which they do. I do think they have a good relationship, but do I think it could impact the sport the same way that Racing Bulls and Red Bull could impact the outcome of a race? I think it could do, because the main difference is you can directly promote a driver from Racing Bulls into the Red Bull team, right? You can directly just switch him around as you please. You can't really do that at Williams. So I think the control that Helmut Marko has over all those 4 cars it does push against the integrity of the sport. I just think it does. It gets my goat. And by the way, if you're watching the stream, just do me a quick favour. Smash a like on the video as well. It makes a big difference to the success of the stream and the channel. Thank you very much. But yeah, it is. It's one of those things where we've got to. Well, okay, interesting. Now the Wood has brought up another favourable relationship. Behrman from Haas to Ferrari. Exactly. So we all know Haas and Ferrari have got a special relationship. You know, the Haas car is literally 80% of a Ferrari, right? From the Ferrari parts bin. We know that. That's how Haas are able to operate with the lowest budget out of everybody in Formula One. They buy their suspension, they buy their gearbox, they buy their engine. I think the only thing they make is a chassis. And yes, Behrman, by the way, will 100%, if he keeps going the way he's going. Oh, by the way, I've got a story on Behrman. He's literally just doubling his salary for 2026. He's going from £300,000 a year to £600,000 a year next year. It's a little bonus due to his solid performances in the Haas. But he will be a Ferrari driver in 2027. Behrman will be. There's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind. Well, there's one doubt. There's one doubt. The only doubt comes down to whether Hamilton chooses to extend into 27. I'm unsure that will happen. If that doesn't happen, then Behrman will be driving alongside Charles Leclerc if Charles Leclerc hasn't left. and someone's bought him out of his contract, or because of non-performance at Ferrari in 2026. No, sir. Jay says, I would like one RB team, but if they get rid of VCARB, then I fear a new American team on top of Cadillac. Well, I think we could see another American team. I still feel that another American team is possible. I know Mario and Andretti got turned down for that final slot that's available in Formula One. Yeah, but it wouldn't surprise me if we get another American team, or whether Haas sells out to... Haas is an interesting one, isn't it? Because Haas could potentially become a works Toyota team, couldn't it? The relationship that Haas now has with Toyota, even though Toyota aren't providing engines for Haas, their relationship is strengthened. And I don't know whether that is because Gene Haas is cleverly trying to gear the team up for a Toyota takeover at some point. But that relationship is strengthening due to Io, who is obviously the team principal at Haas. But more as this boom time is happening in Formula One, I am expecting that works teams are going to eventually be everything on the grid. Right? Truthfully, the works teams will be, the teams, I would have thought, as time goes on, which would be a shame because I don't want to see teams like, Williams, Alpine, Haas sort of disappear. I don't mind the relationship between a works team supporting a team, like, if you've got McLaren, Honda, or, Williams, BMW, like I don't mind those things where even if it's almost like a 50-50, but I don't want to lose the brands, right? I don't want to lose the heritage that we've got from what were traditionally the garage teams. I'm gonna go back to the chat. So Triplex says if Charles loses it, he might even be up for a 26 move. Well, where to though? Where does he go? I don't think Charles has got anywhere to go in 26. I think he'll have loads of options in 27. Aston Martin, Mercedes possibly, Red Bull, right? If Charles Leclerc becomes available, he's a top tier driver. But yeah, you're going to do... Teams will break their back to sign him. And the Woodens jumping in on Toyota are massive. Exactly. I mean, Toyota are massive. You're absolutely right. The amount of money Toyota have got, it's mega. It's like Ferrari. It's like a Mercedes money, right? Toyota are huge. And they do have unfinished business because if you look at the Toyota team when they hit Formula One and they were a works team, their driver lineup was shocking. Was it like Davidson and... it was just I never understood. I never understood what happened with Toyota because they brought so much money in to the sport as a works team and all of that know-how. I don't understand it, and I think they will. My prediction with Toyota is I do think that's what Gene Haas wants eventually, is for them to buy him out for billions of dollars and take his team. That's what I think. Yeah, the Wooden says Bugatti, Lamborghini, Porsche would be good for the sport. I've said this before, and everyone always shouts me down because Lamborghini and Porsche are both part of the VW group, like Audi is. But even though they're all part of the VW group, it doesn't matter. Those brands could still hit Formula One. And no one's ever given me a good explanation why Porsche aren't really in Formula One, right? I mean, why would they not be? They're in every other discipline of motorsport, and they do very well. Triplex said Toyota doesn't let racing games use their cars. It'd be hypocritical of them to join F1. Is that true, Triplex? I don't play a lot of racing games. Is that actually true? Toyota don't let racing games use their cars. Surely it's an advert for their cars, right? Why the hell wouldn't they do that? That's insanity. The Wooden, I think the Garagista teams are a thing of the past, unfortunately. Yeah, I know. But wouldn't you love to see it though? I love to see it. I do. If I was a billionaire, I would be a Garagista team for sure. Yeah, Gemma says she said the same about Porsche of the month. Not like they need it though. It's because they can only build a 911, says Nosa J. Yeah, but I do love that 911. I don't care. I don't care that car's been pretty much the same for 50 years. What a car. If you've ever driven a 911, they're amazing. Even the ones that people say, even the 996, which people go, honestly, it's still a great car. Like, honestly. Like, there isn't a bad Porsche. And if you drive some of the 80s, 911 turbos, they're wild. I drove an 80s 911 turbo, the 1986. And I tell you, the surprise when the turbo kicks in, you totally understand why it's called the Widowmaker. And, yeah, brilliant cars, great fun, but you can see how they kill you. It's just trying to kill you because the turbo lag is so big. It's just like, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, and it's like a brick. It's like, I don't know what it's like a hurricane in your back. And when it kicks in, they're wild. So much fun, but they are wild. But you got to love a Porsche 911. I'm just sound like I got an advert, like I'm sponsored by Porsche. Maybe Porsche will loan me a car for a year because I'm bigging him up. Don't be surprised if my short tomorrow is bigging up Porsche. The one said, Porsche pulled out the WEC over financial issues this year. Really? They need to sell more GT3s. Being a brand new 911 turbo, absolutely insane. Oh, yeah. Was it the 911 Turbo S? Oh, my God. 0 to 60 in some, I don't know, 2.5, between 2 and 3 seconds. It's just silly fast. Silly fast. And the braking's unreal. Yeah, unbelievable. And I tell you a car that everyone hates, which is the Taycan. I know we're not talking, I've gone off piste here. I've gone out of Formula 1 and into road cars, but the Taycan Turbo S, the electric one, as much as I hate electric cars, a friend of mine had one as a loaner when he was having his car serviced. Took me out in it. I don't think I've ever been in a car that is so fast and scary. Like crazy. And the electric vehicles have failed in the US tariffs and affected them big time. Well, I really hope the new regulation of Formula 1 cars in 2026, that the electrification of those cars fails, because honestly, I do not want it at all. Nobody wants it. More reports coming out from the drivers in the simulator saying it is a bag of spanners. Nobody wants it. Apart from Toto Wolff did say one thing that was quite funny about the electrification next season in 2026. It says theoretically these cars could do 440 kilometers an hour. 440 kilometers an hour down the straight. I mean, what? Yeah, the wheels are like, the tires are smaller, the brakes are smaller, it's regenerative braking, there's no aero. I mean, that sounds pretty wild. Good look at Mexico City turn 1. Lap 1. Wild. Absolutely wild. Yeah, so the Wooden says they're electric vehicles. Oh, sorry. The Wooden says we want our V10s back. Yes, we do. We're going to have to settle for V8, so the Wooden. We've got to settle for V8s. We got V8s back in 2031, apparently, and they're going to be naturally aspirated, and the electrification's going to go. Apparently. That's what Toto Wolff has said. DT says, my boss has went through 2 Taycans. They've been at the dealership maintenance bay more than he has himself. Terrible cars. Yeah, they are a bag of shit. Honestly, I'd never buy one. But if you're in a working Taycan, the Turbo S, I swear to God, the sheer pace of it is mind-blowing. Yeah, we're doing drag racing. Exactly, Triple X. That's what it's going to be. DT says, in fact, his current Taycan is in the shop until the end of December as we speak. Don't buy one. Definitely don't. Porsche's not going to give me a car now. They need to sell them. The Wooden said, is that whilst they're breaking down the straight to regain the battery? Exactly. You can only do 90% of the straight until you have to start braking to regain the battery. Well, maybe Red Bull have solved that by petitioning the FIA to allow for this 5 to 10% variance of the 50-50. So if you run out of power, you can have a 5% increase in internal combustion engine, which kind of defeats the point of having to manage the battery. But there you go. Apparently that's what they're talking about. It is crazy. It is crazy. Oh, hang on, I've lost everything. So yeah, it is wild. So I want to also talk a little bit about what we've been talking about. So Martin Brundle has been wading in with an F1 oversteer saying about this big decision that Red Bull have got with the whole Yuki Tsunoda situation, Arvid Lindblad. And he's basically come out and said, too soon for Arvid Lindblad to be promoted into an F1 car next season. And this was the big one, that Isaac Hadjar is not the right man to drive the Red Bull car. What Martin Brundle said Red Bull should do is leave it exactly as it is. Liam Lawson, Isaac Hadjar, Racing Bulls, Yuki Tsunoda keep his seat in the Red Bull alongside Max Verstappen. And I want to hear your thoughts on that. This is a simple poll. Okay, I don't know how to do it on here. Can you do polls on here? Can I do a poll? Oh, I can do a poll. I'm going to do a poll. Would you change the RB, R and RB lineups, driver lineups? Yes or no? Lineups. Look at, we're doing this on the fly. Lineups for 2026. Yes or no? Start a poll. This is great. This is our first poll. Here we go. Let's try it. Ta-da! Does that work? There we go. We've got a poll going now. It's our first one, F1 Grandstand. I didn't even know I could do that. I want to see how many of you would change the driver like, because Martin Brundle says he would keep Arvid Lindblad in F2 for another season, get some more experience. He wouldn't promote Isaac Hadjar and Liam Lawson because they're both, they're both still rookies, really. And he'd keep the Red Bull Racing lineup as it is, Red Bull Racing as exactly as it is. And I'm interested to know what you guys think. And also, I'm quite excited that I've just worked out how to do a poll for the first time on F1 Grandstand. Oh, it's 50-50. It's currently 50-50. Okay. 50 split. See, it splits the room, right? Martin Brundle might be onto something. Evenly split. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. So, Nosa J says, Brundle hates RB, though. He's so biased. Yeah, well, he has it. I do like Martin Brundle, though. I like his grid walks. I think it's cool. The one that says, I like Yuki, but it's merit-based system, and he's doing worse than Checo. He is doing worse than Checo. If you were just to quantify the last 6 races for Yuki, though, would you still feel that way? DT, evenly split. Yes, it is. Triplet says, honestly, if they were not good enough to win F2, they don't promote them just yet. You see, this is... I actually like that triplet, but this is the problem with F1, okay? Because the reverse of that is also true. If you do win F2, and I'm talking about Filip Drugovich here, he won it, was it 22 or 23? He never got a drive in F1. He was an F2 champion, didn't get a drive, right? And that happens all the time. And if you look at how many rookies are in F1 this season, there's only going to really be, next season, room for one new driver, one new rookie. And that rookie is going to be, that seat is available, possibly, at Racing Bulls, and it's going to be Arvid Lindblad. We will not see another rookie in Formula One next year unless they're a reserve driver. And I think that's a shame because, that... And this is what comes back to Yuki, who's had, 5 seasons in Formula One? Like, has he done enough to not, allow an opportunity for, an F2 driver? Jack Crawford's currently sitting second in F2 at the moment. Arvid Lindblad started the season off amazing, but he hasn't managed to win in F2. Didn't go Tiffy win F2. I don't think he's the best measure. Did Lance Stroll win F2 as well? Lance Stroll won F2. He got in. But it's true. Like, what happens in F2 is the sort of like the top 3 or 4 drivers, even top 5 drivers in F2, are all in and around F1. And here's what it really comes down to. Like, look at Alpine this season. Jack Doohan got the seat, didn't do very well, lost his seat. Franco Colapinto moves into the seat, does absolutely no better than Doohan. But Doohan didn't get a drive again, did he? And he's not really in the mix, in the discussion, to become Alpine's number 2 for 26. And Colapinto's looking at... He's still in the mix to get that... To get that seat. Because with rookies, I go on about it over and over again, if you win F2, but you've got no backers and not bringing any money, and you can't afford to sort of buy your way into that rookie seat, if you're not part of a driver program like at Red Bull or at Mercedes, or now at Aston Martin now as well, but if you're not part of any of those programs, well, really, actually, Red Bull or Mercedes, because they will, there's no real, you don't have to really bring money to the team there. They actually sponsor you through, and they get the money back from the management contract that you're involved with Toto Wolff for the next 5 years. But anyway, what I'm really saying is, those 5 drivers, it's what becomes attractive to the team. It's not necessarily the fastest guy in F2. It's, are you bringing enough money with you to support that drive? Because none of them get paid much, comparatively. But if you're Franco Colapinto, who brings 20 million, Yuki Tsunoda was rumoured to have brought like 35 million of Honda money, 40 million, Then you've got Lando Norris, whose dad owns Hargreaves Lansdown, the investment firm. He brought 40 million into McLaren, and that helped Lando Norris get his rookie contract of a 3-year contract at McLaren. So it's not a fair system, right? So it isn't a fair system. It drives me mad because, there's no automatic place in F1 if you win F2. But there are places available even if you don't win it. Yeah, exactly, there would. Yeah, it was 40 million Lando Norris's dad paid. 40 million. 40. I mean, he does own a massive investment firm, funds. They've probably got billions under management. But it's crazy. That's funny. Yes, he'd get in. He'd get in. Max never won F2, get him out. That's funny. They wouldn't. Colapinto brung money. Hell yeah, he did. He brought loads of money. Gemma Triflex laughing. They wouldn't. Lando's dad paid into McLaren. Yeah, all of that is absolutely true. And it's only Hamilton got in on merit. Right, he was through the he was a McLaren driver since he was 8 years old, of some description. George Russell, Mercedes, Kimi Antonelli of Mercedes, all came through the driver program. The Red Bull driver programs brought us Sebastian Vettel. It's brought us Max Verstappen. It's brought us Yuki Tsunoda, Liam Lawson. I mean, Alexander Albon. Pierre Gasly. These people came through that way, and now the people that have come through those systems are basically half the grid has come through the Mercedes or Red Bull program, really, hasn't it? So it works, but a lot of those drivers, they didn't need to bring the big money. Lando didn't come through one of the programs; he had to pay for his drives all the way through. But whilst we're talking about Lando's dad buying him into Formula One and getting his opportunity, we can't not mention that Lando Norris has been on fire the last 2 Grand Prix. I mean, he has driven flawlessly, right? Hasn't he? So credit where it's due. He has driven flawlessly. Which brings me on to my final thing I want to mention tonight about McLaren. It's only a quick one. I'm not going to bore you too much about it because I know this story goes on and on and on. But there was something hanging over Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, about repercussions in Austin, Texas, about the incident in sprint qualifying. And basically, McLaren boss Andrew Stella has told Piastri to be proud of his improvements throughout the weekend. This is what we're talking about in Mexico City. And now that he's on level ground with his teammate, it's going to be a straight fight to the finish. And also McLaren have ditched their repercussions for Norris as a result of his first lap bump into Piastri in Singapore. And it's also, they've got rid of the repercussions entirely of what happened in Austin. So now what McLaren are basically saying is there is no preference for either driver to win. We have now given them, there's no mental problems or anything hanging over them of repercussions from incidents. These drivers, there's 1 point between them. Lando has the advantage by 1 point over Piastri, and both drivers are free to race. But do we believe him? But do we believe him? Who do we believe him? But that's basically what they're saying. Kyle, late note, bloody hell. Right at the end of the show, Kyle. You've missed it all. It's too much to explain. Yeah, Triple X says 4 races, 4 crashes, Max wins by 70 points. Is that what you think? Oh, gee, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know. Kyle's having a go at my tardiness. I've been very good, actually, Kyle. I think you'll find I've been on time every day for about 10 days. I've probably got a 10-day streak here of being bang on time. Must be. But yeah, so McLaren are basically, what they're trying to do is McLaren PR are going on a PR offensive. They see what the rumours are. They see what people are saying. They also see that the psychological effect it's probably having on Piastri. But the good news for Piastri is the type of circuit that Piastri likes, which is high grip circuits. Well, we've got, as long as it doesn't rain, Brazil, which is good for him. So we might see an uptick in Piastri's performance next. 4 races left. He'll do well in Abu Dhabi as well. So really, Oscar and Lando, neck and neck. Can we see Piastri come back? I think McLaren are trying to give him the best opportunity to mentally find that 1 or 2 tenths that he's lost, probably because of the chat around what's going on, probably because of the rumours, probably because everyone's getting his head about, are they favouring Lando? Lots of people are talking about it, just like I've been talking about it, like everybody else has. So they want to get on the offensive, say, look, both drivers, no, there's no repercussions or any penalties hanging over them. They're free to race. Let's go. Best driver wins. Yeah, Kyle says Tony's not late since he moved the start back 1 hour. That's true. But yeah, so that's what's going on at McLaren anyway. So it's going to be an all-out fight in Brazil. We'll see if there's any other news that comes out from Piastri's camp, because I'm interested to see what Mark Webber's got to say about Piastri's downturn in form. We've heard a lot from McLaren. I'd like to hear a little bit more from Piastri's camp and Mark Webber. So we'll try and do some digging on that. The Wooden says, people are forgetting Lando had a DNF and wasn't that far behind. And since the summer break, he has dominated Piastri. He has done. I'd say since, well, I think the big turning point for Piastri's Baku, isn't it? The big turning point was all the errors in Baku. He hasn't really seemed to have recovered from it. And Lando Norris, to be fair, did not take advantage of all those errors. You know, he finished 6th, didn't he? You know, he had a free run at scoring a big high points scoring gain against Piastri, and he finished 6th. So that wasn't Lando's finest hour. But you're right, he's got stronger and stronger. He's really got to grips with the car. But it's when Piastri makes comments like, I'm driving the same, I'm not doing anything different, I really can't put my finger on why I'm slower. That he was saying comments like that to the press. We sounded like he was almost saying, hey, I'm doing everything that I've always been doing. You tell me why I'm slower. Why could it be? And it almost creates more speculation when he talks like that. That's what I got from the way he was talking, reading between the lines. I felt that he was sort of saying, I don't know. You tell me. Is it something the team are doing? I don't know. So yeah, that's what I think he was trying to say in his interviews, but I don't know. Hoping to get more from the Piastri camp before Brazil. But that's basically where that's up to. So yeah, that's pretty much today's news. Now, the big question is, I love the fact, we've got a 57% that say, how do I resolve this poll? Right, okay, I'm going to end the poll before I finish. I'm ending the poll, brilliant. So, show me the result. I've just ended the poll. 57% say they would change the driver lineup. 43% said they wouldn't change the driver lineup for Red Bull and Racing Bulls. That's pretty darn close, guys. That split the room. I like it. I'm here for that. So we'll see. We'll see how Helmut Marko plays it with Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson. And we'll also see how this ambiguity for those guys affects their performances for the next 4 races. I have a feeling that we might see Liam Lawson going a bit wild. That's what I think. My prediction about Liam Lawson is that we could see him going... He's got that wild side to him, hasn't he? So next 4 races, Liam could either get a podium or just like start causing carnage. And I don't know which it is, but I'm here for it, whichever it is. Oh yeah, there it is. I can see the poll in the chat. Brilliant. Yeah, watch the comparison laps between Piastri. Yeah, I saw that. Piastri was losing about 2 tenths a corner on some laps. It was kind of wild. But then he did improve. After his coaching, I think, from Andrea Stella. Motorsport fan says, did you manage to watch the Andy Cowell interview at AM Factory post on Aston Martin's YouTube channel? Oh, thank you for reminding me. I'm going to watch that tonight, and I will tell you my thoughts on it tomorrow night's show, 7:30. I absolutely promise, Motorsport fan, because I'm dying to watch that. I got sidetracked after the show last night, but I'm going to watch it tonight, and will not pass go without watching it, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. Kyle said, I would get rid of Yuki and Liam. Ooh, I'd like to see Mick get a V-carb seat. As in, Mick Schumacher. Really? Controversial. Motorsport fan. Well, at one point, Liam is going to get desperate just because of these buzz between Tsunoda and Lindblad. Yeah, that's what I mean. But Liam's got that wild man about him, hasn't he? I can see him. I mean, I saw when he was not doing well in the Red Bull. He wasn't backward in coming forward and talking about it. You know, he's got that in him. So I think Liam Lawson, if he's unsure about his future, like I said, he could get a podium, or he could literally just smash everybody off the circuit. What do you think, Kyle? That you're a Mick Schumacher fan, you like to see him back on the grid. He'll never get in a Racing Bulls car though, because that is their junior opportunity, isn't it? So I don't think Mick could ever get in the Racing Bulls. I suppose there's this outside chance he gets in a Red Bull possibly, but they like to promote from within. Mick's best chance to get on the grid is either a new Formula One team, or even like an Alpine or somewhere like that. Kyle says, put Mick in a half decent car instead of a Haas and see what you can do. I'd be interested to see it, because Mick has, I think, since he's left the sport, I think he's matured, and I think some of the testing he's done, he's been pretty quick. So I would be quite interested to see whether Mick Schumacher could do it. And also, I've got a soft spot for a Schumacher on the grid, right? You know, of course, who hasn't? Yeah, Kyle doesn't think he got a fair chance. Aston Martin still have one more vacant spot in the no. Oh, it's going to be between Tsunoda and Boyer for that role. Well, Aston Martin have just signed Jack Crawford yesterday for reserve driver role. They've literally just signed him, haven't they? He's going to be their reserve driver, Jack Crawford. Jack Crawford had the option to be Cadillac's reserve driver, but we talked about it on the show actually. But he's chosen Aston Martin. Yeah. Motorsport fan Wooden says Steiner threw Mick under the bus, covering up for his own shoddy performance. Yeah. Gunther Steiner, as much as he's entertaining on Drive to Survive, I do think he's an interesting character. I mean, it's telling he hasn't got another team principal job in Formula One, has he? So, not yet. Mick comes with money. Hell yeah, he does. I wouldn't want Mick to be racing at the Red Bull Associate team. So toxic. Yeah, true. I think he's now aiming to get into IndyCar. I think he'd smash IndyCar to pieces. I think he'd win it. Yeah, I like that they kept Crawford. Solid driver, good asset to have. Yeah, he's. I mean, Crawford could have gone to Cadillac to be Cadillac's reserve driver. And the upward trajectory it has since Steiner has left is great. But Io knows the team inside now. He was Roman Grosjean's race engineer. Plus, he's the Toyota connection, right? So he's brought that Toyota money into the team. Important thing for important role for the team principal. Steiner bought a MotoGP team, I think. Why is everyone doing that? Someone else has bought a MotoGP team recently. I keep seeing it. People keep seeing. I keep seeing people buying MotoGP teams. What are you doing that for? I don't know. I'm just Formula One, baby. It's all about Formula One. Kyle said, like to see Haas Horner. I'd still love to see Haas Horner. Oh, I still love to see Haas Horner. Horner rumours have died down a little bit because I think Horner is like keeping his cards close to his chest. I think whatever he's trying to do now, he's trying to do it quietly, because when you've got every team basically saying, ridiculing him, saying Horner's ringing, Horner's on the phone again, Christian Horner's ringing, he's looking for a job, this is Ferrari, this is Haas, this is Audi, this is Aston Martin, and then Andy Cowell coming out with statements like saying Horner will not be part of this team financially or leadership team or something like that now or in the foreseeable or in the future. Like, Horner was getting slapped around a bit until they need him. And also, Ferrari do need him. So watch that space, because they were talking the week before last. So don't forget, he's not really available till summer next year. So maybe a lot of the noise will die down. Maybe he's already agreed with Elkan at Ferrari that he's going to go there as soon as he's available to. Not tell Fred Vasseur, not announce it. Fred Vasseur's cards are already marked and he's going halfway through next season and Horner's coming in. That could happen. That could be the case. Could be. Could be the case. I need to speak to Tubby George about that one, but it could be the case. So the Liberty have just bought MotoGP. All right. Well, they'll extrapolate every bit of value out of it. Motorsport fans, especially Aston Martin, lost both Drugovic and Van Dorn. They need at least to keep one who's been there with them for a bit. Crawford was one of them. Yeah, Crawford was in their driver development program, wasn't he? But he's second in F2. He's won F2 races, big ones. He won at Silverstone, didn't he? Where was the other one? Did he win at Monaco? He's won some good races in F2. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's currently second in F2. So he's quick, and he also brings good sponsorship as well, and he talks really well, and he's really got that. He's got something about him, Jack Crawford. He's a bit of a sponsor's dream. Triple X says people putting out Oscar-like statements about Horner. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's just like people are just like denouncing him. Yeah, every one of them saying, yeah, like Io did it at Haas. Yeah, Horner's been on the phone. We're not dealing with him. Andy Cowell. Yeah, Horner's been on the phone. We're not dealing with him. You know, Haas. Yeah, Horner's been on the phone. We're not dealing with him. You know what I mean? It's just. He's you know, so he's probably just decided to keep a low profile, because I tell you what, Alpine, it's got the story with Alpine's gone quiet, but that's not dead. Definitely not dead. Maybe gone quiet, but Alpine's definitely not dead. Yeah, I agree. So Paulu's the driver people should be trying to get. Apparently Red Bull were interested. Yeah, well, he's had a good season, hasn't he? Yeah, and I agree with about Crawford. He's only 20 years old, so he's a perfect driver for Cadillac in 2 years' time when they've got the Cadillac engine, right? And it's an all-American team. Crawford might as well cut his teeth, learn what he can from the Adrian Newey's of this world, take all that, and Fernando Alonso's, take all that knowledge to Cadillac in 2 years' time. He's probably already agreed it with them over a beer, over a Budweiser. Do you know what I mean? Or a cause. They probably already agreed it. But yeah, he is very young, so it is all to happen. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Thank you so much to even Kyle, who was late. I still thank you, Kyle, for joining the chat. DT, Triplex, The Wooden, Gemma. Gosh, there's loads tonight. A Motorsport fan. Who else has been with us? No, Sir J as well. Triplex. Haven't missed anyone, have I? Destroy Television. Oh, God, I hope I've not missed anyone else out. Yes, if I missed you, I'm sorry. I tried to get everyone in, but thank you to every single one of you for being in the chat. Really good fun. Please do smash a like on the video. It makes a massive difference to the success of the channel. I will be back tomorrow at 7:30. And Motorsport fan, we will be discussing that Aston Martin video. I'm going to watch it immediately after this show. So yeah, join me tomorrow, 7:30. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Ta-ta.